as
Yeah,
long
we're
as
on the
we.
leading edge here as spiritual evolvers. I think that Earth is the hardest school. I agree with Ramtha in that sense. You can look up Ramtha, Ramtha, Ramtha. That she's a channel. She channels Ramtha, who speaks as a full soul, who is not incarnate in a body. And that's another interesting aspect is more people as the energies shift and we come closer to unity, because now we're seeing kind of all the systems falling apart. If you've been any kind of conspiracy theorist, you're seeing all the systems falling apart. And people are starting to what we call wake up. And people are starting to hear voices. And I would like to get the message out that if you're hearing negative voices, then you need to clear your systems and only focus on the positive, loving voices. Have you heard any voices, Ted?
Not in a in my ear sort of way.
How about in your mind, though, like Jiminy Cricket?
Uh, yeah, I would say so, but not in a not in a not in a fully vocalized way. It's more of a feeling like my mind is telling me to do this or that, or to look at this or that, or uh, the thing
I
that I.
want you to chew on that and ask yourself if it's your mind.
Well, one thing that I can tell you that's absolutely true, and something that we were talking about, I think, in during the break, was the was synchronicity,
Hmm.
and that's something that I'm noticing a lot more of.
Hmm.
And that's one of those things that if you start to notice it, you notice it more. Once you
Exactly.
go down that path, it's almost like the famous saying about looking into the abyss and the abyss looking back at you when these
Ooh,
things.
that's a creepy one.
It is, but when you start looking at synchronicities, synchronicities start looking at you, and
You
I
know
think.
what? I have a word for that, or Hermes does. It's the cosmic wink. It's God winking at you and say, "Hey, I see you, child. You see me back. Oh my gosh, here we are. We're in communication." And it is the mind-blowing love of the universe. And I know I sound like a complete hippie when I talk about it, but the hippies came from Krishna, I think. So I think it's channeling Krishna energy. But yeah, it's about blowing your mind and being innocent and curious like a child and saying, "Wow, wonder again. Let's wonder." And that's the good voices, in my opinion, and that's the synchronicities, and that's the cosmic wink.
So let me ask you this before we take our last break, Corinne. When you have interaction with your spirit guide, with Hermes, as you call him, and with the Egyptian lady, do you actually see beings, or are these? Do you have to enter alternate states of consciousness in order to do this, or do they manifest themselves in some way? How
They
exactly does it?
asked Rasputin the very same question. Do you see it in front of your eyes or in your head? And Rasputin said, "In my head, but it is the same."
Well, that's true. That's true. That's true.
The mad
Because
monk.
what's in front of your eyes, you see in your head anyway. So,
Because it's your experience. What you experience is what you observe. And if you are observing it just like a dream, that is your experience and your observation. And then that leads to judgment or discernment. And that is reality. It is what it is.
so, finally, then on that subject, are these interactions that you have? Are they things that you initiate, they initiate, you both
Oh,
initiate, or how does that work?
I do have a video on the first time I met my spirit guide, Hermes, and it was through a guided meditation. Where you're told where to go, what to do, and what to see, and then you expect something else, consciousness, to interact with you. And 9 times out of 10, it does. It's not rocket science. It's just been hidden in the occult.
Yes, under the terrible, evil occult has taken it away from us.
Because, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and I was told Satan or Lucifer comes as an angel of light. So all these angels of light I saw, I was afraid of, and that's heartbreaking for a child.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Sure it is. And of course, there's a lot more to be said on that, but we have to take our last break, and when we come back, after the break, we'll talk about some positive developments that we can take away from the show today, and maybe some exercises that we can do in order to expand our consciousness, maybe to advance ourselves spiritually so that we can overcome some of the negativity in our lives and to experience joy, because after all, one of the greatest things that we can experience in this life that we have here in the 3D world, as we're calling it today on the show, and as lots of people refer to it as, that is one of the best states that we can be in, and I think that's something that we should strive for. So